Welcome back. Arvo Pärt is an Estonian composer whose early career was spent in the Soviet Union, while Shostakovich waged a wider battle for national identity. Pärt's struggle was against the Soviet regime for personal identity. Early in his career, he fought for the avant-garde serial style. He received large pushback from the government authorities, including a condemning review, much like Shostakovich had. Yet, unlike Shostakovich and Prokofiev, he managed to get his music performed. At the time, classical music was very much running on the experimental edge of things, but Pärt decided this avant-garde style really wasn't his true voice. He went through a process and he converted from Lutheranism to Russian Orthodoxy, and he dove into a deep study of the music of the church, especially the traditional chant music. Through the music of religious devotion, he found his own musical voice. And this voice ended up being in a style of minimalism, he was one of the first composers to really end up with this style where complexity is removed from music. All of this put him even more in the crosshairs of the Soviet censors. At the time, the state religion of the Soviet Union was still atheism, and anything tied to the traditional Russian church was frowned upon. He went into a self-imposed artistic exile, and he didn't compose for 8 years. In the mid-1970s, he began to write again with his new voice, and somehow, once again, he beat the censors and managed to have his music performed. He called this new style tintinnabully. The struggle continued, and in 1980, he and his family managed to leave the Soviet Union and eventually settled in West Berlin. One of the first pieces he wrote after emerging from exile is Fratris, which will be performed on this concert. And fratris in Latin means brotherhood. Now an elder statesman of classical music, Pärt recently celebrated his 90th birthday. Fellow minimalist composer Steve Reich summed up Pärt. He's completely out of step with the zeitgeist, and yet he's enormously popular. His music fulfills a deep human need that has nothing to do with fashion. Thank you very much, and we will have more on our upcoming concert next time.